Kiss me once, then kiss me twice, kiss me once again. It's been a long, long time. Haven't felt like this, my dear, since can't remember when. It's been a long, long time. You'll never know how many dreams I dreamed about you, or just how empty they all seem without you. So kiss me once, kiss me twice, then kiss me once again. It's been a long, long time. It's been a long, long time.
With brilliant cunning, favored by our lack of readiness, with the sky and sea all their own, at 7:55 a.m., hell broke loose. Man-made hell, made in Japan.
Members of the Hollywood Victory Committee, I can't tell you how gratifying it is to see represented here not only the actors, but the screenwriters and directors guilds, and every other craft and union in the entertainment industry.
Now it's going to be up to us to send to the men here and abroad real living entertainment. The songs, the dances, and the laughs they had back home. Our talent pool will be broken up into hundreds of units, traveling under the auspices of the USO Cam shows and the Special Service Division of the Armed Services. Wherever there are men in uniform, there'll be entertainment. Show business has come through before, and it will again.
Gee, that's swell.
I got my greetings the other day, and I started to run the other way. That would be wrong, even you'll agree. But here's what Uncle Sam had to say to me. Bring enough clothes for 3 days. Bring enough clothes for 3 days. Bring enough clothes for 3 days, cause they ain't gonna turn you loose. Bring enough clothes for 3 days. 50 a month is all it pays. Bring enough clothes for 3 days. And don't bring no sad excuse. You got to realize you're a soldier now. If you don't realize you're a soldier anyhow. That little mess is up to you. Brother, there's nothing that you can do but bring enough clothes for 3 days. You've got a chance to get a raise, but bring enough clothes for 3 days, cause they ain't gonna turn you loose. Now they may take your brother, your sister and your mother, your uncle, nieces and cousins, cause Jack, they're snatching them by the dozens. Bring enough clothes for 3 days. Bring enough clothes for 3 days. But bring enough clothes for 3 days, cause they ain't gonna turn you loose.
You could actually say that my story begins before World War II. No, I'm not that old. But my mother used to tell me a story about World War I. And she told me about a very great actress there was by the name of Mary Pickford, who used to go out during World War I and sell saving stamps. And I was thinking, there's another war. What can I do to help my country? I'm a woman, and in those days I didn't think a woman should enlist in the Marines or the Army or anything. Now I've changed my mind. So I thought, well, you know, even if I could enlist in those branches of the service, I think I could do better with using my name value, seeing what I could do, and they're selling war bonds now. So I called my boss at Paramount the next morning. He said, well, Dorothy, I happen to know the Secretary of the Treasury, Henry Morgenthau, and I will call him right now, which he did. So I got on a train, and I went to Washington, to the Treasury Department, and I met with Mr. Morgenthau, and I told him that I would be willing to go, and whenever the studio would allow me to go, give me time enough off. Well, the studio is very cooperative. All in all, I understand from the Treasury Department, I sold over $300 million in cash.
Okay, Rob?
Sing. Earn your dinner, Bing.
Buy a bond, and by, the bonds you buy'll bring you victory. Buy a bond, and you'll be standing by the victory arch when Johnny comes marching home again.
Mr. Humphrey Bogart.
We've had a lot of bond drives. You people have proven by your magnificent response to each one of them that you know exactly why they were necessary. We've also had a lot of patriotic speeches. And I'm sure you don't need another one from me to tell you why we need this victory loan. You know why it's important that we make this victory loan the smashing climax of all bond drives.
Hold on, Joe. There's something I want to say to you.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah. And I'm going to give it to you quick. You know, we've got a lot of boys and girls fighting this war for us, and they're doing a great job. Maybe too great, because you're beginning to feel good again. You think peace is just around the corner, so now you're going to go in there and buy yourself a nice new suit of clothes. Been a good guy up to now, yeah, but you're quitting. Quitting, Joe, before the job is over. War factories haven't shut down. They're still working the clock around to turn out the stuff we need to win this war. And the Merchant Marine is still ducking torpedoes and bombs to get it there. The Army hasn't quit. The Navy hasn't quit. And neither have the Marines. Or the girls. What if the boys who've been taking it for you suddenly said that they'd gone over their quota? They fought a battle last week, last month, last night. That some other guy should take it for a change. For instance, you, Joe. The Nazis won't quit. The Japs won't quit. And you'd better not quit. That's what you can't afford.
I never looked at it like that before.
Well, maybe some other folks haven't either. But if we want to look those boys and girls in the eye when they come marching home, or if we want to look ourselves in the eye, we won't quit. Now, the fourth war loan drive is on, and nobody can afford to buy that extra suit or that extra dress or those unrationed shoes. But what's more important is that we can all afford to buy those bonds. Let's all back the attack.
Well, there he is. Go on, tell him.
Oh, Mr. Hope, I haven't thanked you for everything yet, so if you're still selling kisses for a $50 war bond, I'll take one, please.
Well, there's just a few left. How was it?
I think Boris Karloff was right.
Hollywood's most famous movie stars leave the film capital to help the government sell war bonds. Irene Dunn, Ronald Colman, Hedy Lamarr, Greer Garson, all part of a contingent of some 50 screen celebrities giving their time and talents to aid the national war effort. The country has asked the people to invest $1 billion in 1 month to help pay for the war. And here's the start of the drive. Boarding a special train for Washington, they'll tour 300 cities from coast to coast. Go to any city that agrees to subscribe at least $1 million.
No, you should need no request. For after all, you know that you're investing in the best. Till the lads come back again, back the old attack again. Bye, bye, bye.
Ah, Hetty. Hetty. You're beautiful. Speak to me. Say something.
Come on, Bluefoot. Giddy up there. Giddy up, Bluefoot. Come on, boy. Get in the money, just once.
An important thing that Bugs did was to help the public service when they were selling bonds. And he sang a song called Any Bonds Today? Buy bonds now, don't forget that. Ain't I a stinker?
The tall man with a hard hat and a whiskers on his chin will soon be knocking at your door. And you ought to be in. The tall man with the hard hat will be coming down your way. Get your savings out when you hear him shout, Any bonds today? Come on and get 'em, folks. Come on, skip right up and get 'em. Any bonds today? Bonds of freedom, that's what I'm selling. Any bonds today? Scrape up the most you can. Here comes the freedom man, asking you to buy your share of freedom today. Many stamps today. Give titties. We'll be blessed. We all invest in the USA. Sammy, my Uncle Sammy. Here comes the freedom man. Can't make tomorrow's plan. Not unless you buy a share of freedom today. Any stamps, any bonds
I got permission through Warner Brothers. I was contracted to Warner's, and I got permission from them to work for these for the war effort. They made me Snafu, and that was my name. And he always got into trouble by telling other people who had jobs in the Army and Navy and armed forces what to do, and he would always tell them wrong.
Manning the far-flung outposts of our global battlefronts, fully aware of the importance of their individual responsibilities, the sentinels of our outermost frontiers stand their lonely vigils with quiet courage and cheerful devotion to duty.
249 days in this God-forsaken hole. 249 days!
All of the stars would pick on me because I was the sad sack. And they had to have a sad sack with them. You know what that means. But they always asked me to go with them. I'd be more than happy to. But I worked practically every Army camp and Navy and Marines, wherever it was, in the United States.
Turning now a few pages in GI Journal, we come now to another one of your favorites. Hello, young man. I sort of remember you from someplace. You're,
I'm a private sad sack.
Another chapter in our story, the life of Sad Sack. We pick up our story when the Sad Sack was first born. The proud father looks at the tiny bundle and says to the mother,
You're supposed to keep the baby, not the stork.
But the Sad Sack proves to his parents that he is a brilliant child. At the end of his very first year in school, he comes running home with the happy news.
Mama, I got I got skipped to the next class. They gave me I've been expelled.
Fast and romance came to the Sad Sack. He met the girl of his dreams. He tries to make love by serenading her. He holds her hand and sings.
Besame.
Hey, what am I going to get, a kiss or a quart of milk?
One of the greatest things was this canteen I told you about on Cahuenga Boulevard in Hollywood. And there I worked with practically everybody in the business, from Orson Welles all the way down to Buster Keaton.
We had our Hollywood Canteen, is what they called it then, where the servicemen, it was a USO recreational center for them, and there was an orchestra there. And here in Hollywood, different stars, mainly female stars, would go there at night, and they'd serve them dinner, and they'd give them autographs, and they would dance with them and laugh with them, and just make them feel at home. And I did quite a bit of that.
If you've ever been to Hollywood, one thing you're sure to remember is this converted barn in the heart of the city. Here, under the leadership of Betty Davis and John Garfield, all the guilds and unions in Hollywood have collaborated in creating and maintaining the Hollywood Canteen. More than 1 million servicemen of the United Nations have been entertained here by almost everybody in motion pictures. Most of its earlier guests are scattered all over the world by now. In the South Pacific, the Aleutians, the Middle East, ETO, Italy, well, let it go it all around the world. And to them, here's a message from one of the canteen's favorites, Miss Dinah Shore.
Hello, fellas. We had some guests of honor here the other night, convalescent men from an Army hospital. And they seemed so darn glad to see the canteen again that we thought maybe you'd like to take a look. Especially you fellas who are so far away from home. So let's look around. You be our honored guest tonight. Okay? You're greeted at the door by Lana Turner, Deanna Durbin, and Marlena Dietrich. And you grab yourself a partner for some music by Xavier Kruger. Probably you'll find Judge and Mrs. Hardy behind the snack bar. That's Louis Stone and Fay Holden, with Jenny Sims and Virginia Widener. On stage, a song from Eddie Cantor.
Don't want to roll tonight. We snug as can be. Being alone is just a blind. You know, her coffee could be sweeter, but I'm not in the dumps. Cause every time she hugs me, it's like 2 extra lumps. We're staying home tonight, my baby.
While Hedy Lamour hands out autographs. Or some roughhouse with Red Skelton.
No upsetting the nerves, no bad taste. It's a nice, smooth drink. Pour a little in your glass and drink it right down. But be sure and ask for Guzzler's gin. A nice, smooth drink. Guzzler's gin, babe. Drink a little after dinner. Drink some before, you won't have to eat any dinner.
Or more roughhouse with Jimmy Durante.
What a racket he's got with that stick. That's a politician's job. I wonder what he'd do with the stick if the band didn't show up.
No time to say you've done enough. This is the time to really do your stuff. And even if you can't be a soldier in the ranks, you can be the guy that helps supply the guns and planes and tanks.
And leaving you now, I want you all to join me in raising your hands and making the sign of victory. The V sign popularized by our famous ally across the sea, Winston Churchill. Heads and hands up, America. Let's give a rousing cheer that'll be heard in Berlin and Tokyo.
Pardon me if I get a little sad on this one. But the government asked me who I thought would be somebody that would go out and work for the country, not just for the personal publicity they would get. And I told them if they could get Carol Lombard, they would really be getting a wonderful woman who would do it in a very unselfish way. And I think she had gone on a couple of smaller ones, and then, unfortunately, she went on that one to Indiana. And she did not want to take the train home because she wanted to get back to Clark quickly. She took the plane. But when you actually look at it, she died for her country, really. So, not just going overseas, there were so many things, and there are always so many things that people can do during the time of war to help their country.
Fellas, I'd like to dedicate a song now to the 35th Infantry Division of General Patton's 3rd Army. I had the pleasure of visiting these fellas last fall, in civilian clothes, of course.
Oh, give me land, lots of land, under starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze and listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you, please, don't fence me in. Just turn me loose. Let me straddle my old saddle underneath the western skies. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. I want to ride to the ridge where the west commences and gaze at the moon till I lose my senses, 'cause I can't look at hobbles and I can't stand fences. Don't fence me in.
We depend upon your support. Please take this opportunity to call this station. Thank you.
Today. And tomorrow's pitching.
Now you've got it.
That's all. We got a couple of days on the team.
Well, I can't help that.
You know, I used to be a catcher, too. I'll get behind the plate, do some fancy catching.
Yes.
Tomorrow's pitching on my team, and the heavy hitter gets up,
Yeah.
Joseph Valentine, the heavy hitter. Now, Valentine gets up, and he bunts the ball. Now, when he bunts the ball, me being a good catcher, I'm going to throw Valentine out of first base, so I pick up the ball and throw it to who?
Now, that's the first thing you said right.
I don't even know what I'm talking about!
That's all you have to do.
All I know is I throw the ball to first base. Now, whoever it is drops the ball, so Valentine runs a second.
Yes.
Now, I pick up the ball, and I throw it to who? Whoever it is drops the ball, he throws it to Watts. Watts throws it, I don't know, throws it back to tomorrow. A triple play.
That's right.
Another guy gets up, and it's a long fly ball to be caught. Why? I don't know. He's on third, and I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn.
Oh, that's a shortstop.
I'm sure you've heard of the Armed Forces radio show that they used to have, which was just great for the boys. I mean, it would go on every morning, and, you know, and they also had a newspaper, the Stars and Stripes. But those guys, they used to listen to that radio religiously, and everybody in Hollywood did those for them. It was almost like they were home, you know.
As this program is being performed in the Hollywood studio, a master recording is made from which transcripts will be shipped to Army and government-operated stations all over the world. Strictly for you men overseas, no matter how small your outfit. And speaking of little things and trivia in general, here's old General Trivia in person. Your commanding officer of this command performance, your old sidekick, and Chief Scout of the Wolf Patrol, Bob Hope.
Thank you. How do you do, fellas? This is Bob, Command Performance Hope, telling each Nazi that's in Russia today that Crimea doesn't pay. I'm now getting my material from H.V. Kaltenborn.
This isn't WEAF New York, or KGO Oakland, or KSL Salt Lake City.
But to the guys and gals of the Fifth Army in Italy, it's Beni and Hope and Toscanini. It's the way the Army brings the touch of home to Italy. And here we go.
This is your American Expeditionary Station in the field with the Fifth Army. A radio service for American fighting men and their allies.
You know, they did them on big 33 1/3 discs. They were all sent through the radio to the servicemen. And then some serviceman sat there and played them.
Hello, all you fellas, all over the world. Greetings from the Andrews sisters. I'm Patty. I'm Maxine. And I'm Laverne. We're making these V-discs just for you. And along with them, we want to send all our love and kisses. Well, here comes Colonel Bronson. Hello, Colonel. How are you? Good to see you, Colonel.
Well, it's nice of you to come, and on behalf of the Special Service Division, I want to thank you for coming here to make these V-discs today, and to tell you that our records are very, very popular all over the world, but we're getting letters that say something is missing, and they want to hear the Andrews sisters.
Wonderful.
So I know today that Mitch Aird and his boys are going to give out while you sing for our boys overseas.
Well, thank you, Colonel. You sit right over there while we give out with some boogie-woogie bugle boy. How about that, huh?
Chicago way. He had a boogie style that no one else could play. He was the top man at his craft. Then his number came up, and he was gone with the draft. He's in the army now, I'm going reveille. He's the boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B. They made him blow a bugle for his Uncle Sam. He really brought him down because he couldn't jam. The captain seemed to understand, because the day that the cap went out and drafted a band, and now the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B. A toot, a toot, a toot-a-dat, a toot, he blows it eight to the bar. In boogie rhythm, you can't blow a note unless the bass and guitar is playing with them. He makes the company jump when he plays reveille. He's a boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B. He was a boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B. And when he plays boogie-woogie bugle, he was busy as a bee. And when he plays, he makes the company jump eight to the bar. He's a boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B. He blows it eight to the bar. You can blow a note if the amazing guitar is the rhythm. And the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's a boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B. He puts the boys to sleep with boogie every night, and wakes them up the same way in the early bright. They clap their hands and stamp their feet, because they know how he plays. When someone gives him a beat, he really breaks it up when he plays reveille. He's a boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B. Company plays reveille. He's a boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B.
Radio on Wheels moves to where the entertainment is. And when a songwriter and a movie star make for the front, the mobile station follows right along.
I had hardly thought it possible that entertainment of such high caliber could be presented out here in the field. I wish to add my respect and admiration, along with General Clark and Irving Berlin, to the men and women of the Fifth Army.
When we were told that we were to play our show for the Fifth Army, I wrote a special song for the occasion, which I am singing in the show. Now I would like to sing "The Fifth Army's Where My Heart Is," and dedicate it to you, the fighting men of the Fifth Army. I met her in America about a month ago. She asked me if I'd bring her love to a certain G.I. Joe. She said when he returns, I'll be his bride. I asked her where he was, and she replied, not the first, not the second, not the third, not the fourth, but the Fifth Army's where my heart is. He's somewhere on a beachhead, which must be lots of fun. I can see him in a bathing suit, basking in the sun. From a cute signorina, he's been learning to talk like a real native of Rome. She's a very tasty dish, but my baby no capiche till the Fifth Army comes home.
Hello, Kay Kaiser speaking.
Hey, Kaiser?
Well, what strikes you so funny, Kelowna?
I put in one slug and I got another.
Listen, Kelowna, you're supposed to be overseas with the troops getting a story for G.I. Journal.
That's just where I am, Chief. Camouflaged to look just like a tree.
You look just like a tree?
Yes, exactly like a tree. Pardon me a minute, Chief.
Sure.
Lassie, go home.
Mother says it's in the groove. Daddy says it's hot. Backwards, it spells booze. Now, brethren, what have you got? You've got Jubilee!
An avalanche of fan mail from all fronts and outposts testifies to the popularity of Jubilee. This 30-minute radio show is one of 106 recorded programs shipped overseas each week by the Armed Forces Radio Service from headquarters at Los Angeles.
You sad sacks in your khaki kilts and you swingy salts on your pewter scooters, batten down your GI pork pies. And now, here's your master of ceremonies, Jubilee sweater boy, Ernie Bubbles Quitman.
Thank you, devotees of the Limp Largo. With your permission, I'd like to do a few imitations. First, there's a familiar fellow we've all seen standing at track number 5 just before the 20th Century pulled out of Chicago for New York. And he goes something like this. All aboard! Train leaving for South Bend, Syracuse, Rochester. Coming, Mother! Well, bless my big fat soul. How are you, Rod?
Fine, Ernie, but I have a little problem. I brought a chick with me tonight, and I wonder if you could help me out.
Well, I'll be glad to take off your hands, son.
Just a minute, big boy. That's not my problem.
Oh.
What I want to know is, should I bring her into the studio and take a chance on losing her, or leave her out in the hall and likewise?
Well, then, by all means, bring this gal in.
Okay. Come on in, honey. Fellas, here's Lena Horne.
How about us telling everybody about consequences?
Okay. Hear it, boys. Life's full of consequence, that old devil consequence. He takes all the frivol out of fun. When you got the candle lit at both ends, the scandal it creates always keeps you on the run. Just when you're weakening, fate sends the deacon in. Crash, and your cash ain't worth an ounce. 'Cause then comes the consequence, that old devil consequence flings you back with a bounce. It's consequences what count.
Life full of consequence, but who's scared of consequence? Let's sip the honey while it's sweet. We could be messing round, but you is digressing round while I'm tossing nature at your feet. Why be cozy round a gal who could sprinkle you with spice.
But how about the consequence, that old devil consequence? I've been burned more than twice. And I'm that bad and I'm
As sad a time as that was because of the war, and as many sacrifices that you had to have. Well, there were the food rationing, there was gasoline rationing, there was all kinds of things. But there was a happy atmosphere around Hollywood. It was like everybody was trying to hold up everybody else's morale. And that was the way it was. And so many people were doing so many things, not only selling war bonds or enlisting in the service, but so many little things that seemed to be incidental, but they weren't. They were a very great asset to the war effort.
You know, fellas, we here on Jubilee use a language that might sound off the cuff to some of you. When we dedicate a number to, say, Sad Sack Jack from Fond du Lac, a Ladstone Jack and a khaki sack, woo! We say it that way because, well, I guess because we feel it's a little more personal. We send our hellos and our songs and our laughter, yes, and our hearts clear around the world to you, wherever you happen to be. Then we say to ourselves, we know by your letters that in your spare time, lots of those same fellows hear our jokes and our music, and that makes us try all the harder to send you week after week the kind of entertainment that you used to look for back home. So keep letting us know what it is. This is your program. Someday he'll come along, the man I love, and he'll be big and strong, the man I love. And when he comes my way, I'll do my best to make him stay. He'll look at me and smile, I'll understand. And then in a little while, he'll take my hand. And though it seems absurd, I know we both won't say a word. Maybe I shall meet him Sunday, maybe Monday, maybe not. Still, I'm sure to meet him one day. Maybe Tuesday will be my good news day. He'll build a little home just meant for two, from which I'll never roam. Who would you? And all else above, I'm waiting for the man I love.
This is G.I. Jill with G.I. Jive. Sort of a special edition today, fellas, in answer to your request. Just time for two things, a favorite tune and a quick reminder to send me a picture of you. That's right, a picture of you from my pinup boy collection. Don't forget, huh?
Well, young men and ladies, what they used to do is they would write to their favorite star, and they would ask for a picture, which the star would send them, and they would pin it up in their locker or in their room or something like that. And that is the way you became a pinup girl. Whoever sent out the most pictures, I don't know how they kept track of it, but they did. Betty Grable was #1 for a while. I was #1 for a while. Rita Hayworth was.
Well, the pinup girls that I saw overseas most, of course, were Betty Grable and Rita Hayworth. They were the pinup girls of the war. And you'd see them everywhere you went, you know, in the mess hall, in the tents, everywhere you went. Well, they was something to look at. And as Bob says, know what you're fighting for.
I just want you boys to see what you're fighting for, that's all.
Hello. I suppose some of you are wondering what I'm doing here. Well, you see, some of you fellows have written to me and requested a real good pinup picture of me in nothing but a bathing suit. So, here I am. Oh, I have a lot of other bathing suits at home, but the photographer told me you would like this one the best. Because I'm a pin-up girl. That's what they name me. I'm the kid who loves you all. Don't be shy. Come on and frame me. Stick me in your locker or against the wall. Pin-up girl. You've all embraced me. I'm your dream, your gay mirage. Many eyes have sweetly faced me. I am yours for tax or pins or mucilage. At night while you count sheep, I'm watching o'er your bed from above. And while you're fast asleep, baby, I know what you're dreaming of. Your pin-up girl. My clothes are daring. They're not much, I must confess. But I swear I'll go on wearing less and less for my pin-up dress. If it will bring you happiness, all my charms for you unfurl. I'm your little pin-up
No, but I used to pull a gag all the time about showing Betty Grable's picture, you know. And I'd say, that's my that's my that girl is my somebody'd say, that's Betty Grable. Yeah, that's a good friend of mine.
But anyway, it's wonderful to be here, isn't it, huh? You're having a good time in this trip?
Yes, it's really exciting.
It
The
is.
boys have been so wonderful to us.
They have.
You know that last island we were on?
Yes.
One of the boys took me out on the target range.
No, really? Is that right?
He put his arm around me and showed me how to hold a rifle.
No kidding. I didn't know that. Well, what do you mean?
And he kept his arm around me and he showed me how to aim it.
Oh, he did? Oh.
And he kept his arm around me for half an hour and showed me exactly how to fire.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, and then an officer came along and put him in the guardhouse.
Oh. Well, that was too bad.
Yes, we were going to try it again tomorrow with a rifle.
I just saw a bunch of guys that just were dying for entertainment, you know. And they would sit in the rain, they would sit in the heat down on the desert for hours and hours and hours, just waiting. And you'd just think, how could they stand it, you know? But they did.
Say, how do you feel, Jerry?
I feel fine.
You're fine.
I'm in the pink.
You're in the pink.
Yes, I left the blue ones in the laundry.
Yeah. The only man in the world can kiss a girl and give her the brush off at the same time. There he is. Look at that jungle. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Look at that.
Careful, careful.
Huh?
Snipers.
And we were just a small group, and we would go into places real close to the front. And if they had a foxhole with men in it, we'd do a show for them. And it was fun that way, you know.
Thank you, Colonel. Thank you very much. Very happy to be here. Where the hell are we? Anybody know? Well, we've been up in England for 5 weeks, and before that we were in the States. You know the States, that's where Churchill lives. We really had a great... Well, he doesn't exactly live there. He just goes back once in a while to deliver Mrs. Roosevelt's laundry. Had a great ocean trip, didn't scare us at all. We had a few drinks in Canada, flew blind all the way, and here we are. Everybody had a lot of fun on the plane, I know, because I looked inside and saw them. And halfway across, the pilot turned around to me and said, "You a little nervous?" I said, "Yeah, that's only my 3rd time up. He said, "You beat me, this is my 1st. I said, "It's a little rough. Don't you think we ought to have parachutes?" He said, "Don't be silly. The guys with parachutes jumped an hour ago." This is the 3rd show for Mother Langford today. Really very
Well,
good.
Bob, it's really a pleasure for me to be able to come out here and sing to these fellas. And I would like to thank you for bringing me along.
Oh, it's nothing at all. It's just my good deed for the day. I guess it's the Boy Scout in me.
First time a Boy Scout ever tried to put his arm around me.
Well, I belong to the Wolf Patrol. That's...
Gimme, gimme, gimme what I cry for. You know you've got the brand of kisses that I die for. You know you made me love you.
The fellows were so wonderful, and we felt we couldn't do enough for them. So when we were really only scheduled to do one show, we would go into the NCO clubs, and we would do 3 and 4 and 5 shows a day. There may be four guys sitting there, but they just came back from wherever they'd been fighting. And so we'd do a show, and it was wonderful because we learned a lot. We learned a great deal about how to perform easy in front of very small groups and to be able to include them into what we began to call our little parties.
Hey, you with the letter. Here's a message you can send home to your gal. I'll be with you in apple blossom time. I'll be with you to change your name to mine.
Hey, I'm from the SS Pennsylvania. Sing a song for me.
Well, I do know that Jack Benny was out in the Pacific. Carol Landis. I can't remember who else was with him.
Well, here we are, folks, on the way to Australia. There's Miss June Bruner, Carol Landis, Martha Tilton, Larry Adler, and myself. Larry?
Larry, you got your harmonica with you?
Yes, I've always got it with me.
Why don't you show the people what you're going to do?
That's not a bad idea.
Oh, say, Larry,
Yes.
look, just by coincidence,
Yes.
you see, I happen to have my violin.
These coincidences keep creeping up.
Shall we,
hold this gal for me?
Shall we play a duet?
All right.
Folks?
I presume
Okay.
you would like to
Yeah.
tune up.
Yeah.
You're satisfied with that?
And in the South Pacific, I started a column for the Hearst papers called Purple Heart Diary. And that was basically, I started out going to the hospitals, trying to entertain some, and really getting the gripes from the soldiers, because they had a lot of them. And it was easy to write down, you know, to try to tell the public what they had in mind and what wasn't going right and what was. And
But then it's always a pleasure to introduce your next guest, a lovely young lady who spent so much time with you GIs all over the world. She's practically standard equipment, one of your all-time favorites, Frances Langford.
Embrace me, my sweet embraceable you.
had you, my heart grew tipsy in me. You and you alone bring all the gypsy in me. I love all the many charms about you. Above all, I want my arms about you. Don't be a naughty baby. Come to your mama, do. My sweet embraceable
The entertainers brought home to the boys their home, brought back their families. It brought back memories to when they heard you sing a certain song, that's where they were, back there with their girl or their mother or their brothers and sisters. It gave them a period of, I guess you could call it, time to reflect into a happier time.
Hey, young pup, your number's up. Hot-doo-doo-doo-doo, lady. Get your doodle-beat bus on, got your doodle-beat bus on, give him going, got your say. Really got your game, the mailman. Get your doodle-beat bus on, give him going, got your say. Really got your game, hello to the place, and old questionnaire, give him going, got your say. Really got your game, hello to the place, and get your doodle-beat bus on, give him going, got your say. Really got your game, hello to the place, and get your doodle-beat bus on, give him going. Really got your camp, hello to the place, and don't report the doctor to get your little bit of say. Real higher doc, hello to the place, and get your little bit of sound, give him gone, get to say. We got a little fine specimen. Oh no, to get your little bit of say. We didn't go on, get to say. Real got your camp, flat feet, get your little bit of sound, get the fellow, get to say. Real got your camp, give him going, got to say, we'll get to get a hold of the plane, daddy boy, give him going, got to say, we'll get to get a hold of the plane, saying, get that one day.
Plus the fact that, look, a lot of these were country boys. A lot of them were from small towns and country. And the only celebrity they had ever seen was on the screen when they went to the Saturday night movies. So here they are standing right next to Gary Cooper or Bing Crosby or whoever it might be, Bob Hope, and they could touch him. And that meant a lot.
Mersey-dote and dozy-dote and a kiddly-divey too, wouldn't you? Mersey-dote and dozy-dote, a little mersey-divey, a kiddly-divey too, wouldn't you? Dum-dum-dee-dee. I got you gonna do a show tonight. A kiddly-divey too, wouldn't you? Somebody's flat. Thank you. Don't you stare at me.
I think that every entertainer meant something personally to each GI. They weren't forgotten. Oh, here you are over here. You haven't forgotten us. You're going to give us a few moments or an hour of laughter and fun. And I also think that it gave them the feeling that as long as you haven't forgotten me, I can win this war.
Fellas, many people from Hollywood are visiting the men at the front, but it isn't possible for all of us to get over there at once. So tonight I'd like to dedicate a song to some men who are fighting and sweating this war the hard way. The men of the China, Burma, India Theater of Operations. Here's some special lyrics to one of your favorite melodies. I'm singing this straight to you guys of CBI.
think of you. Night and day, day and night. Surely you know that this feeling for you follows wherever you go. From the desert's burning sands to the frozen cold of northern lands, we think of you. Night and day, night and day, we say a prayer for you, and we're praying that heaven above will watch you and care for you. And when this affair is through, may we not forget the debt that we owe to you day and night, night and
And motor trips and burning lips and burning toasts and prunes. How lovely it was. We were getting out of an airplane.
That was North Africa.
After a bad night.
Look a little punchy. I think that's the... That was when I was sleeping in that hotel in Tunis with a mosquito netting. Right.
Oh, yeah.
And I found one inside the netting. This was the next day, I think. I looked like I've been battling it. Oh.
Okay.
You know, it's amazing, isn't it, that how you get hooked into things. Because when we were doing the Pepsodent show at Sunset and Vaughn, and Cat Staff said to me, they want to see you down at March Field, Riverside. I said, I don't want to enlist. He said, no, they want you to do a show down there. And I said, what for? There's no war? And I'd never played camps or anything, you know. And they said, well, I didn't know he had a brother down there. Next year, Francis and I were, here we are, on a bus with Skinny Ennis and the band and Bill Goodwin.
Yeah.
And we're on the way. And the audience was so sensational. Do you remember that?
Oh, my goodness, yes.
And I said, wait a minute, how long has this been going on? At Sunset and Vine, they'd come in there and sit there, you know, they're all actors, they're looking for jobs, saying, okay, make us laugh. But these kids were sensational. So went to Camp Pendleton the next week and kept going around. And finally, the war started in December. They declared war. Then it became very dramatic. And I guess we spent about 5 years just going around the country. I think we did 2 shows at NBC in 5 years, you know? And the rest was the South Pacific and England, Africa, and the Caribbean, Panama and all that stuff, Guantanamo.
It was the beginning of fond memories.
Fond memories. Yeah. Tony was our orchestra. That was it. 4 of us started. Then we picked up Patty. When did we pick you up? About 45?
44.
44. South Pacific?
Right. Yes, that's right.
Picked up Patty from the South Pacific, and that was kind of interesting, too, I'll tell you that.
I want you to meet our crew here. I know you're going to enjoy seeing them. First, we have a young lady here, one of the finest dancers in Broadway and Hollywood, Miss Patty Thomas, right here. Come on out, Patty. What a jungle, huh? This is it, huh, fellas? How do you feel, Patty?
Fine, fine.
You look beautiful. You have some beautiful spots on you. I want to tell you right now. Anybody wouldn't climb a tree for that is mad. I want to tell you. Right here, I want you to meet a guy that's been our orchestra the past few years, Mr. Tony Romano, right here. Come on, Tony boy. How do you feel? Oh, I don't know, Dad. You look like an escaped prisoner. You look good. Tony Romano. Here is a gal I know you love. Really one of the gals been doing a tremendous morale job for the past couple of years. And our fine singer, Miss Frances Langford, right here. Look at that beautiful Lily Daché hat here. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Who have you got up in there with you, dear? Huh? Here's a guy I know you're waiting to see, Professor Jerry Colonna, right here. Give him your jungle call, old man. Just give him your jungle call.
I think when you work one of those trips and you get to know each other, you know, there's a certain relationship that develops that you feel, you know, part of a group that you want to be with. Because we went from, when did we start? 1940?
42. In the spring of 1942, right?
And,
right.
And we went on and on and on.
Right.
Mandolin began to play, and her lips were there to kiss. As they danced, I heard him say, New Jersey was never like this. The bells began to ring, and they rode away on a mule. To prove I'm not joking, if you're in Hoboken, drop in for a minute and you'll meet Conchita, Marquita, Tantita, Pepe, Rita, Juanita,
I bet when I started you thought I was lousy, huh? Just follow me, Betty. Around, kid. All the way. Hey! Oh, that way.
I think we were very lucky in being that we were so mobile and just picking up this and,
Just a few of us,
and
yeah.
doing a show anywhere, anytime we were ready. And so we didn't worry about whether it was a microphone or...
I think after a while we got a little over anxious. We'd do a show for just any reason at all. Any reason.
I remember we did a show one time on a... I had to dance on the hood of a Jeep. And that's when you sort of ad-lib your routine.
You know, I think that fits your act pretty well.
Ah, you're tacky. You are so tacky.
Yeah, they used to come up. They used to come up and...
Ooh, remember the first time you said, who wants to come up here and dance with Patty? And the half of the group just... the stage was going flew and the stage was just going to flatten down.
Have you got some shots of her in that outfit that her mother made for her, that little satin outfit?
My mother didn't
Have you got
sew.
some shots of
We
her?
have some shots of you.
You better get them
dancing
because
real forward outfit.
Yeah,
she was
right.
too much, you know. She was about 6 years old when she had and she came out there with this blonde hair hanging down and this little homemade outfit, you know, and they went, whoa. And I got back from that trip in the South Pacific, and I was walking down 8th Avenue, 7th Avenue, in front of the Taft Hotel. And the doorman stopped me and said, whatever happened to Patty Thomas? He was there. He saw her, and that, you know.
That's funny.
I'm in the mood for love, simply because you're near me, funny, but when you're near me, I'm in the mood for love. Heaven is in.
That's insubordination. I could break you for that.
she started to sing this. What's the sing?
I'm in the mood for love.
The guy in the audience stood up and says, "You came to the right place, honey."
Simply because you're near me. Funny, but when you're near me.
Oh, funny, but
I'm in the mood for love.
Funny, but
heaven is in your eyes. Bright as the stars we're under. Oh, is it any wonder? I'm in the mood for love. Why stop to think of whether this dream might fade? We put our hearts together. Now we are one.
Who's there? You damn his pockets of anything. You meet yourself in the back here.
If it should rain, we'll let it. But for tonight, forget it. I'm in the mood for love.
You know, we were in Algiers in '43, and we're doing a radio show with Hal Block and
Back to the States at night.
yeah, that's right. And this fella came up and said, Colonel Ott wants to talk to you. I said, well, tell him that we'll talk to him after the show and so on. So he said, he's General Eisenhower's aide. I said, where is he? Because we wanted to see Eisenhower, you know? And he said, the general's waiting for you up on the hill. I said, that's all today, folks. Goodbye. And we ran out up to see Eisenhower. And it was the first time we'd met him. And he said, he's so nice to us and everything. And put pictures out for us to pick. His pictures. We wanted a picture. And he put them on. He said, this is my favorite. And he put and he said, well, I hear you've had a couple of bombings, you know, in England and so and so. I said, well, don't we get plenty of sleep here because we haven't had a bombing. We're staying at the Aleti Hotel in Algiers. He said, we haven't had a bombing here for 6 or 7 months, so we're fine here, so and so. 4 o'clock in the morning, it's, oh, air raid siren. I said, what the hell is that? And it's a raid. And I said to Jack Pepper, quick, run up and get Frances Langford, because we promised Frances, you know, that we'd wake her if we weren't in her room, you know. And anyway.
What? Don't say that.
I love that tape. I wish I had that tape. A little slow with it.
A little slow.
Gesundheit. Thanks. Can I interest you in a fuller brush? No, huh?
Come on in there, you rat. Stop. Stop. You're making a terrible mistake. This man is innocent.
You keep your nose out of this.
I saw it. He got in here by mistake. That's Bob Hope.
Don't you understand, Herman? Bob Hope.
Hope? Yes. Hope? Oh, Mr. Hope, I didn't recognize you. Can you ever forgive me?
It is not for me to forgive you, but this little flower you have wronged. She is innocent.
I didn't realize.
Of course you didn't realize. You didn't realize because you don't know women. But if there's one thing Bob Hope knows, it's women. Goodbye, and remember, that little wife of yours is as honest as the day is long.
Short day, wasn't it?
We all went down into the basement, which was their air raid shelter.
Underground.
Let me tell you something. It was murder. And we sat down there.
No,
Can't tell you the rest of it.
No.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't do that.
You can't do that.
No.
So funny. I can do that. Then when the guy came down there, big fat guy with his night clothes with his wife, and he sat next to us,
Horrible.
And he was not polite. He had something, I think he had corned beef and cabbage or something, because he wasn't polite. And this, he kept giving out this gas.
In a small room.
And on and on and on. And his wife never even looked at him. She was used to it, I guess. So we were sitting, we had to sit there, and we're stuck there, you know. And after a while, we didn't notice anything. We couldn't, we weren't with it. But I finally sent Eisenhower Wise, thanks for the rest. Thanks very much for the rest. We were down there for about 2 hours with this fellow who was with the enemy, trying to snuff us out.
Now I'd like you to meet a member of our troupe that has just returned from the South Pacific, a man who's been all over, a famous world traveler, Professor Colonna, right here. There he is. Say, Professor, we'd like a few words on your experience as a world traveler. That Pacific tour wasn't your first big trip, was it, Colonna?
Oh, no, I've been to England, Russia, Australia, Africa, and Alaska.
You've been to England, Russia, Australia, Africa, and Alaska.
Yes. I'll get one of your checks cashed yet.
Now, we were going down to Sydney, weren't we?
We were off the coast of Newcastle.
We were in a Navy Catalina, and all at once the guy came back and started throwing our luggage overboard. And I said, what happened? He said, one of the motors is out, and we're going to have to make a forced landing. And they didn't have enough, they didn't want to make it on the ocean. They thought it was too rough. What's the place we made a landing at in Australia?
Newcastle.
Laurelton, Australia.
Laurelton?
Right.
Exactly.
Laurelton?
Oh, we went to Newcastle.
And we hit that water and skipped about 100 feet, skipped another 50 feet, then ran into a sandbar.
Right.
And if we'd hit that first, we'd have blown up.
Is that right?
You realize that?
Now you tell me.
I didn't know that.
And it was 2 days before they really found us. And it was all over the world that we were lost.
You know, the weather down there is like it is here. Of course, they have a light sprinkle now and then. Light sprinkle, that's South Pacific. For man, the boat's boys, the island disappeared again.
In Hollandia, when we were in Hollandia, we picked up Henry McLemore, the columnist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was traveling with us because he found out we had a case of scotch.
Oh, that's right.
And he was a marvelous guy with a great sense of humor. And we're playing Numfor. And after the show, we're sitting in a little tent-like down there with a general, lot of people. And a guy came in and handed the general a note that said, Jap was discovered 200 feet from the stage. And I handed it to McLemore, and he looked at it and said, was he coming or going?
Don't tell me you didn't get that. That almost got deep. You ready?
We were playing an island called Bonica down in the South Pacific. And this guy came over to us and he said, could you possibly come over to Bavuvu? I said, where the hell is that? He said, that's right here at just about 15 minutes by Piper Cub. I said, Piper Cub? He said, we don't have a runway. You have to land on the road. And there were 8 of us at that time.
We each had a plane.
Now, what year was that? What year was that?
44.
Was that still 4? It has to be 44.
Because we had been in Guadalcanal, Espiritu Santo.
So you got 8 Piper Cubs, and it was the 1st Marine Division.
That's right.
Going into Peleliu, training to go into Peleliu. It's amazing, boy. And you knew we were landed on that road. As we went over, 15,000 guys cheered at every plane. And the plane would just go up in the air from those cheers. Anyway, we did the show, and this is a very dramatic show because you knew they were going to invade Peleliu, and you had to stand on that stage and do it. And I have a picture. I went out and sat with General Rupertus, who was the head of the Marine Division there, and watched, the show with him. And then found out later that they went in, they lost about 60% of their guys.
If I had my way, dear, forever there'd be
a garden of roses for you and for me.
Now, wait a minute. That kiss is not in my contract. Read the small type. Go ahead.
Jerry Colon and I used to like to make a lot of noise in hospitals because they weren't used to that. So we'd get in and say, all right, don't anybody get up. And they're all roped up, you know, these guys. And we'd get in bed with one of the nurses or do anything to break it up, you know, yell, and then they'd sing, and we'd do our impressions, anything loud in the hospital, because they were all so used to having, you know, a walk in, how do you feel, and so dance with the nurses. We saw so much of it because we played the hospitals all the time. Every place you went, you had to go to the hospital.
Hi, Clem.
Hi.
Where you going? Fishing? What do you got in the mouth?
Worms.
Well, good luck.
Fungus.
Yeah.
Oh, you had it on your feet.
Oh.
I got it in my
And
ears.
you had it in your ears. Or
No, I
something.
did.
She had it in her ears.
Yeah.
Didn't you have it?
No.
Because George Hallis,
And I had it in my own nose.
the coach of the Bears, now then the owner, but he was coach of the Bears, was our special service officer in the South Pacific. And we played all this stuff from MacArthur down there and went up to Biak, all this kind of stuff around there. And we're supposed to leave. And we've been out now about 3 months, and we're pretty tired. And he came up to me and he said, there's 5,000 Australians down here. They've been down here training, and they've never had a show. And if you would go, I said, wait a minute. Let me tell you something. I've got fungus on my feet. We've been out about 3 months. Frances has it in her ears. I said, I'd like to get the hell out of here and get home. And he looked at me and he said, well, you know, they've never had a show. And I looked at this guy, and he had a little tear coming out of his eye. George Hallis. And I didn't think he was that good of an actor, but here he is. So I said, Frances, come over here, Frances. And I said, tell Frances about it. And he said to Frances, same story. He said, we're so-and-so and so-and-so, and they're up there, these guys, and they've been away from home for 9 months, and they've never seen anybody, and da-da-da-da-da-da. And I looked at her, and she looked at me. We went up and played that extra date, fungus and all.
I'll be seeing you in every lovely summer's day, in everything that's bright and gay. I'll always think of you that way. I'll see you in the morning sun, and when the night is new, I'll be looking at the moon, but I'll be seeing you. Thanks for the memory, you Uncle Sammy's crew. Our minutes are too few. I wish that I could kiss each and every one of you.
You want to get us trampled to death? Are you kidding? What's the matter? You blowing your roof or something? How about Mr. Jerry Colonna right here?
Oh, thanks all you men dressed in khaki. You may think that I'm a bit wacky.
Why don't you get back in the sacky?
There's room for two. Your nose and you.
Miss Patty Thomas right here, Miss Patty. Just sing a little ditty there, girl. Thanks for the memory. Just say thank you.
Thank you for the memory. I hope you liked my dance and found it not too revolting. I was gonna bring my fans, but one of the fans was molting.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, there was so much gratification connected with this, you know. You got to thinking of what you were doing and how damn lucky you were to have the chance to do it. I know everybody felt that way. Otherwise, they wouldn't go. You know, they didn't have to go. And you were there. You were the recipient of their marvelous love.
And once you started it, you couldn't stop.
No.
That's
You
right.
just were so carried away with it.
Thanks from America to all our men in blue, our boys in khaki too, our tough Marines, our Coast Guard, our Army nurses true. We thank you so much. And thanks to our brave allies, the gallant Russian bear, the British everywhere, the free French and the Chinese, and you Latins way down there. We thank you so much, and we'll be seeing you. And meantime, this is Bob Hope thanking you for those letters to Command Performance, Armed Forces Radio, Los Angeles, USA. Speaking for everybody on Command Performance and saying the best of the best from the USA. So long.